Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Xaereth Prevails, a Grand Arena story. I'm apparently at the GP level where every single person I face is going to have an insane roster, so stay tuned for that. First, I'm going to give a huge shout out to my patrons. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate you supporting me and supporting this channel. So, I recently hit 1,000 subs, which is great. Thank you guys so much for that. There were 3 people, however, 3 YouTubers that I really appreciate. They gave me huge shout outs and really made it possible. They really facilitated it, and so I wanted to give them each a shout out in turn. First, I want to shout out Klesso. He is a great dude. He does Grand Arena streams. He has a beard and a sippy cup. He records his stuff live. Really great channel. I can't recommend that channel enough, in fact. Next up is Indigo. He does short Grand Arena videos, which is also appealing. It's easier to fit them in. They're really to the point, really instructive, and, other than that, he hates ships, so everyone here can relate, I'm sure. And really highly recommended channel, of course. And then finally, End All Be All. He's kind of the mad professor of Grand Arena. He does crazy things like themes. He'll be like, I'm gonna only attack with dark side and put light side on defense. And then he just wins. He has to handicap himself to be able to actually have a challenge. So highly recommended. All 3 of these guys, you guys would all be doing yourselves a huge favor by subscribing to these fine gentlemen. I can't recommend them enough. So the URL to each of their YouTube channels is going to be at the top of my video description here. So please stop what you're doing right now, pause my video, go sub them, and then come back and watch my stuff, because my stuff is still pretty good. At least I like to think so. 1,000 people have said so far. So and there's one guy who always downvotes me, so there's always that as a counter argument if you want to listen to it. But now I'm rambling, so let's move on to the match. Alright, so we're in the semifinals after I had a pretty big blowout win in my first match, and it's against a dude named Bertuccio, is how I assume he pronounces it. That's how I pronounce it in my head. And this guy's in one of the premier guilds in the game, ANGZCGZ something. They're like one of the top guilds though, and it's top in PvP. So we know he's going to be solid. It's going to be rough. So looking at the stats here, I don't know how we got matched up. He has more relics than me by far, which is tough. But then, I guess I make up for it a little bit. I have a few more Zetas, and I have more Gear 13s, but then his mods are way better. My mods are pretty good, but his are even better than mine. So, lots to complain about here. Really strong player. I've faced him before. Never an easy out here. Looking at our stats, his stats are really strong. Don't want to mess with him. I would prefer to have avoided this matchup entirely, but it is what it is, and honestly it makes for good YouTube, at least. So my opponent was awesome and attacked almost immediately, so when I finally logged in, I had been full cleared for 1918, which is a really strong score. He had DM'd me and said that my General Skywalker team had stolen 10 banners, which means he basically got perfect against all my other stuff, which is frustrating. And you see they have this Finn lead leftover resistance team, which is going to be really tough. It's honestly giving me a lot of headaches trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to do to take that team out, and eventually I decided, so normally I have my Commander Luke team reserved for a clones team, and what I decided was they have 3PO on defense and Watt on defense, and I decided that probably they just used General Skywalker mirror to counter mine, especially because everything got one shot. So I decided throwing in Commander Luke was not a bad idea, and I was looking this entire match to undersize every single time that I could. First shot, wanted to stun and kill that Scav because she will one-shot one of my characters at that high of relic level. She's relic 7. So that's not awesome. And now I'm just trying to control everything. Just trying to, Resistance Trooper causes a ton of damage. So does everyone here. I mean, they're all relic 5 or higher, except for 3PO. And you'll notice that Clone Wars Chewie, and I don't know why I call him Clone Wars, Chewie is not assisting here because he has so many stacks of translation. However, that's not as big of a problem because they're not doing any damage to me yet. And so, you know, that's one nice thing. They did all the times that they got turns, they just did non-attack things, and I got 61 banners, which is always nice. We can move on to the next match here. So I have right around 10 to 15 banners to drop in total here, and my opponent has a ton of relics, really strong teams, and so I need to go as close to perfect as I possibly can. And so we're doing some kind of weird things here. I'm taking my first order team with Watt, and you know, this team, you guys have seen me use it before. My Watt is only 6-star right now. Actually, as of right now, as of the recording of this, he's now gear 12 with 7-star, but that's beside the point. I'm taking this squad. You know, this is great against Newt teams, frankly, because Dooku can't really do that much against this team. You know, so Watt takes his bonus turn first. He hands the taunting tech to Kylo Ren, and, you know, he's relic 5 right now for me, so he's really tough to make a dent in. You guys can see not much damage being done here. And so we have to dispel L3, which is fine. You know, Nest is also a concern, though not a pretty low level one. She's only gear 12, which is surprising because of, you know, this roster is pretty strong. Now, I think I made a mistake there. I did stun Dooku so that he wouldn't put stealth on all of the separatists. So that, I mean, that's fine. I think the thing that maybe was a mistake here was I should have maybe stunned Droideka, and you guys will see why in a little bit. So one thing that I want to point out, I'm only doing my basic attacks or specials that aren't AoEs because I want to use First Order Executioner to eventually kill Newt, because Executioner has the weapons tech and will deny his revive. So you know, we're waiting to kill Newt here. I decided to kill Newt. Now he's dead. He doesn't revive at all. And then I hit Nest as well, try to take some health off of her. And maybe what I should have done, frankly, was trying to dispel that Droideka, but you know, you can see my Kylo Ren unmasked actually almost died there. That, you know, I had so many turns in a row that Droideka, who was like relic 4 or 5, was able to just pummel me, and if I'd been relic 4, I think that Ren would have gotten taken out. So you know, maybe a little bit of mishandling there, but everything is okay now. You can see he's going to be regenerating a ton of health and protection. Officer gives him a turn, and suddenly all is back to normal. And now everyone's stunned, and we're all in a happy place. At least I am. So, you know, Droideka dies super easy, and I don't know, maybe I should have stunned him first. Maybe, you know, stunning Dooku was better. Who really cares, frankly? Because, you know, when it's all said and done, everything's okay here. So now we're trying to regenerate the health and protection of everyone with Watt. That is easy. All of his tech and all of everything. Pretty cool. And now we're just doing basics. If I wanted to extend the fight, I would use the specials from First Order Executioner and First Order Officer to reduce turn meter on Nest indefinitely until I could, you know, finally regenerate all my health and protection. But everything's already regenerated, so now she took a turn. She's still under her 2-turn stun, and we can just take her out because she doesn't have bonus protection. 60 banners is great. That was the goal, obviously. And as a reward, I got into Bronzium, but no one cares about Bronzium, so we can move on to see what's in the back zone. And that back zone is always like Christmas. It's fun to see what's in the back, what you're going to unwrap. Thank God there's no Darth Revan or General Skywalker in the back. Couple decent teams, but nothing that we can't handle. So now we're going to jump into this death zone here. It's like full of relics, and my opponent did some interesting stuff here. He took a bounty hunter squad with Wampa, and Wampa is really scary for troopers because he has the AoE days, you know, encounter. And so I did decide that I wanted to do this because I needed to get as many banners as possible. One fail was going to, you know, just totally screw my chances, but you know, the fact is, if I could just kill Wampa with my burst attack, which I didn't expect to kill him quite as fast as I did, but that burst attack from Veers would have been sufficient. Could have taken him out without him actually countering, because everything was just calling assists on each other. And now I put Terminate on Jingo because he was close to taking a turn. Didn't want him to ruin my banner chances, and if Terminate is on him, that means he can't revive. So pretty straightforward, easy win there, 60 banners, and this is where things get just a little bit more ugly, as you can imagine, with this really high relic General Grievous squad with Watt and a high relic Nightsisters squad. Alright, so high relic General Grievous squad with Watt. I didn't want to take Jedi Knight Revan. I knew that I could maybe beat that team with him, but Darth Revan does just fine. I could have taken Emperor Palpatine with Traya and Bastila, and I just decided it was just a little too dicey for me. After watching some videos and just reviewing what I had versus what he had, I decided to go with Darth Revan. I did do the Fear attack onto Magna Guard here, just so that General Grievous is next turn is just going to be nothing, and that spares us from his crazy AoE. The goal here is to get one droid under 50% health, so that puts Death Mark onto Grievous, so then I can just one-shot him, which didn't work, and then Magna Guard just decided to keel over, which wasn't awesome either. And now we're kind of in a strange spot here of, he did an AoE, so that's -5 banners right there. And we're trying to find a way to not kill any droids so that, Grievous doesn't just go completely crazy here. We want to get someone under 50%. And unfortunately, the water got too hot for HK, and he just got taken out, even though he wasn't even attacked by Grievous except for that one AoE. So that was embarrassing for him, for all of us really. And now we're just trying to find a way to maximize banners. And B1 is so good if he's the last one remaining with a lot of stacks. He just, you regenerate up to full health, and then he does an AoE, and then, you can fear him, and that's great, but then you just attack him again and dispel the fear, and the hope is that you can actually finish with full banners without any further damage. And he does his AoE again, and there's just no recourse. I wish that I could take Marauder for one more turn, but as it stands, I just have to take what I'm given. And this 53 banners, -3 for HK dying, and then another -4 for no protection on anyone. So not the best, but at least I got through it with a win, and I'm still in it. This is the first time I've dropped banners. In fact, I'm at like -6, and so another match here with Padme against the Nightsisters. I was hoping that if I could undersize, that I wouldn't drop too many banners. And, I didn't really regret that I had used 3PO with Commander Luke. I think that was the right call. But 3PO would have been nice to have there. As it stands, though, Ahsoka's pretty good, because when you do a special, then on one of the other characters, then she assists, and she dispels zombie. So, that's nice. This is a pretty bad mismatch. Nice that Asajj goes first and dispels all of our non-existent buffs. So now we can actually use our buff from Padme. You dispel from zombie, and now you're just trying to pick one of the Nightsisters to kill immediately. If you can kill someone immediately, then zombie, of course, revives them. You kill another person, the zombie revives them, and then you have to kill Daka at the end of it so that she doesn't revive anyone. It's kind of the formula for success. And really this is one of the biggest mismatches in the game. Like, if you're looking for hard counters, this is the one. There's not much more that I can say about that. You can't understate it enough. That I was always going to win this match, frankly. Not to give you guys spoilers, but it's that much of a mismatch. Like, I'm guessing that if I just put it on auto, that I would still win. So we're just trying to finesse this situation so that we're we're just trying to get wins here, or kills here, and I kind of misjudged. I thought that I'd killed 2 Nightsisters before, and I'd only killed 1 apparently. So I took out Daka, and she came back because of zombie revive. And now, Padme was able to take her out. So now there's no real revive chances. The only way that could possibly get a revive from these guys is Talzin doing a mass assist and killing one of my characters, which was probably not going to happen. If she did it to Ahsoka, then maybe, if Spirit was a little bit higher relic level, then I would say that this would have been a lot scarier, because Kenobi does take a pounding. You see, they're already all the way through his protection, and he's been gaining a ton of protection up bonuses, and he was still for a little bit, right around half health at Relic 7 with a ton of health mods. So, not necessarily the cleanest win here, but I am slowly just chipping away, and now we're just waiting for a spot to be able to kill Ahsoka, and then, or rather Asajj. We don't want to kill Ahsoka. They want to kill Ahsoka, and they are going to fail. I was trying to decide, okay, how can I get all my health up from Kenobi? And in the end, I didn't think it was necessary. And then look at the full health at the bottom. Kenobi's lost health was enough to ding me one, so that's on me. I probably could have killed Zombie for a while and gotten that up to 57, so my mistake. But in the back, I was surprised to see my opponent had been bold and put, he was a bold one, as Grievous would say, and put the Negotiator in the back. So, he did have Malevolence, so I'm sure he could just counter. That's a pretty fancy way to do ships. And here's a departure from what I normally do here. I always do ships last if I can, but the fact is, it was going to be close enough. I dropped enough banners on those last 2 matches that I needed to know what level of undersize I needed to have on the bottom zone in order to get the win. And so, ships was the big wild card. I can't really control what banners I get. I did undersize because that's probably wise. Once you have a 7-star negotiator, you don't really need all 7 ships that you have available. So you start off, you do the big hit on Jedi Knight Anakin, and then you use the AoE from Jedi Knight Anakin on Houndstooth, and this went off really well. Was able to get buff immunity. I tricked the AI into putting the heal onto Jedi Knight Anakin, which is huge. As long as he's below 40% health, then they'll put that on instead of doing the big days AoE. So, that worked, and now Houndstooth is dead a little bit earlier than he usually is in any of my fleet matches. So this was pretty good RNG. I'm not going to lie about that. This is me doing what I normally do in ships, but here you can see his clone sergeant came in, so thank God for that. And now we're just putting the buff onto the team so that none of our guys die. And I'm just saving Jedi Knight Anakin for a little bit later once his buff is dispelled. Because right now, if I took him out, he would just go into stealth for a few turns, and we don't want that. So we want him to take a turn, which now he did. And now we just want to take him out because he doesn't have that buff anymore. Now I was actually a little bit concerned. I didn't want to kill these guys too fast because I wanted to get Plo in, and RNG was kind to me. Actually, if I'd killed Fives, now that I notice it, he did have his buff on, so if I'd killed him, he would have just revived again. But Plo came in, healed everyone up, so that's worth a bunch of banners, and now we just want to finish Fives off. That went really well because he took his turn, the buff dispelled itself, and I was able to finish him off with no further remarks. So 64 banners was huge. That's pretty high. Not something I'm accustomed to. I did get +2 for the undersize, so that's nice. And now, as long as I can be pretty, I think I can be pretty comfortable here in these matches, using my Jedi Knight Revan team and my Traya team to finish off. But it still is a little bit tricky. It's a big question mark. We want to, Traya is always a question mark against Geonosians. and you never know how many banners you're going to drop. And so first I took my Jedi Revan squad. Maybe I should have taken Traya first, because Jedi Revan could have been reduced to 3-man, I believe, or maybe even 2 if I was really desperate. As it stands, I did go for the undersize here, and we want to take Hux out first because he had his Zeta on, he had advantage, and that means that he denies any kind of turn meter manipulation or gain on my side, and that is a pretty big detriment. Like, I need turn meter gain from Yoda. He's really slow, and he relies on that turn meter gain. So, I did manage to kill Hux pretty quick. He was only 4 stars, thank goodness. My opponent is not going for both Galactic Legends, though if he was, we probably wouldn't have gotten matched because he would have had way higher GP. And now, Kylo Ren kind of forced us to kill him next, and he's only gear 12, so he was pretty easy to take out. And now our priority is going to shift, or it was going to shift. I was just going to kill Executioner, but then we had the low hanging fruit there with First Order Stormtrooper, so we took him out. And now our focus is going to be entirely in trying to get as many banners back as possible. Jolee actually has lost quite a bit of protection, so we're just trying to get a lot of assists from Jolee, but it's just not really going to work. Like, this Kylo Ren is gear 12, and we just couldn't get his banners back up. Maybe I should have taken Bastila lead because of all the bonus protection. 60 banners though, that puts me in a pretty good spot. That means that I can get to draw this match, which we don't want to draw. I think I would lose the tiebreaker, but to draw it, I would need 9 banners. And here I did want to show this in my video. I did get up to the 5 for undersize wins, and I wanted to claim that because I was planning on doing an undersize here against the bugs as well. And so if you do an undersize against bugs, or if you do undersize at all after you've earned the feat, it doesn't like stack or carry on to the next feat. So make sure that when you get to that threshold that you claim the feat, so you can start working on the next one. And so after a while I was looking at things. I was like, okay, so unless things go like completely horribly terribly wrong, then I'm probably going to get the win here. As long as we don't drop more than 8 banners. If we drop 8, then we're okay. If we drop 9, then that's not awesome. And after comparing speeds, their Brood Alpha was faster than any of my characters, unfortunately. And we want Traya to go first to put Isolate onto Brute. That is a really important aspect of this. So what I decided to do was take Thrawn here, and Thrawn is great because he's faster than the Brute, and so he's going to hand turn meter to Traya, and Traya will then put Isolate onto the Brute so that he can't taunt and he can't help with hitting, which is huge because he is relic something right now, and so he's not going to lend his damage to anyone. And so now Scion usually he didn't go first. If he did go initially, we don't want him to actually do his AoE. We want to wait until he can dispel some things, or have his AoE actually do something. And unfortunately, Thrawn just got focused off, and now we're just hoping no one else gets focused. But then Spy had a little surprise for Nihilus, and now suddenly the entire match is at risk. Like, if Scion just gets taken out, then we are probably screwed. I think that's already -3 banners, or rather -6 banners for those two dying. I need to finish with full health on both Scion and on Traya, and luckily I was able to get the kill on the Brood Alpha. So if we can finish this off without taking too much damage, and it looks like Traya has full protection at this point as well. So if we can finish without any crazy damage here, then we'll probably get the win. So 54 banners, only dropped 6. I could have dropped 8. So safe, but that was a way more nerve-wracking than it needed to be. So in the end, I did win by 3 points, and yeah, that was a pretty good win. It was pretty stressful. My opponent had a strong defense, considering he took everything else on offense, and full cleared me for a super efficient amount. So good on him. But I'm glad I'm glad I got the win. Obviously, and that was a huge amount of undersized wins. I think I undersized 5 out of my 8 matches. So, that's pretty big. And really, the only time that I dropped a ton of banners was against that General Grievous squad. Dropped 7, and that's acceptable because I got the win the first try. But that did put me in pretty scary waters, so to speak. So let's look at my defenses, and we'll get you guys out of here. You can go watch Klesso and Indigo and Endall. So frankly, I don't really condone my set of defense. I made a huge mistake and didn't deploy my bounty hunters at all on defense, and they are key in my banner stealing scheme, and I can't believe I forgot to do that. So you guys can look at this defense, and it's an okay defense, but without my bounty hunters in here, I really think that my opponent was able to get way more efficient. And I never even used my bounty hunters on offense. There wasn't anything I felt super comfortable in taking out with them efficiently. So hopefully we'll rectify that in the next match, or if it's necessary anyways. And one more shot of the final board. Thanks to my opponent. He's a great guy. We've been talking. He's great. So good luck to him in the next match. And yeah, so that's the win. Going to be in the finals. My finals opponent is a guy who went undefeated the entire last season and is obviously undefeated in this season so far. Going to be a super uphill battle. Really efficient player. Excited to get in on that match though, so guys, stay tuned for that. And thank you all so much for watching. And remember that in all things, Xaereth prevails.